We're all a little depraved and debaucherous. Here is the king of podcasts.
The lazy, hazy days of summer are upon us. Thanks for listening to the program, finding the shows you always do. And if you haven't done so, I have been putting up episodes over at kingofpodcasts.com, where you can find all of the Depraved and Debaucherous episodes initially, the home of the program, and of yours truly. And if you want to look for it as well, you can also find some Supporters Club episodes, some bonus episodes that I have behind a little paywall. Okay, for $2 a month, just a small donation, not even a cup of coffee, right? Half a cup of coffee at a Starbucks. You can actually help out yours truly in the program, and you can listen to additional episodes of the Depraved and Debaucherous right here and catch them, and they're just additional episodes for all of you to go ahead and check out for yourselves. So I hope you will consider to go and go to those and find out for yourself what they are, because it'll be great to go and have you go and check that out. But a couple of stories I put up on the website about stripping in Florida now, starting at age 21, beginning in July, and dating apps becoming a desolate wasteland. Desolate and desperate. So those stories you can see right now as part of the Supporters Club. You can find it right now at kingofpodcasts.com. Just go ahead and look for the section on Supporters Club, and you can go ahead and check it out for yourselves. All right. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that I'm very familiar with. Yeah, what am I supposed to be doing here? King of Podcasts, what are you doing giving advice for people that are looking for relationships when I haven't been in a serious relationship myself? Well, the reason why is because I am no longer bitter about the idea of relationships. I'm no longer bitter or angry about why things never happened the way I wanted it to. If you would have asked me in my 20s or my 30s how I felt about that, pursuing and being in the pursuit of a young woman, trying to find women even my age to go out with, and hopefully finding in some way, shape, or form reciprocation. Finding a woman that I found attractive, that I enjoyed spending time with, and she felt the same way about me. It's been so hard. And part of the reason I know is because I've picked the wrong girls. I quit going after my type, which means I just stopped altogether, because it was just more damage I was going to put myself by doing that. It's been very difficult staying single. You know, but it's like I've gotten used to the freedom. I've gotten used to not having to answer to anybody. But since I'm so detached from dating, like I haven't dated anyone in 4 years. And the truth is when I think about it now, you know, I can't even bring myself around to just compliment a girl, which I did a lot, long time ago. I would compliment girls left and right, but I was really like trying to like ask them out, hit on them. I was pretty ruthless about that. And I know I can't do that now. And we know that there are some guys out there that realize, you know what? Yeah, it's a bit scary out now because you don't know what kind of response you're going to get. The other problem is social media amplifies. For me, I can tell you, I know I see way too many clips of way too many things about dating on my TikTok feed regularly. I'm seeing girls on there that are giving horror stories of their dating experience. Beautiful girls that are just not finding love, and it's unfortunate. Now, is it upon them? Is it who they're talking to? It's one of both ways. I see way too many clips of Fresh and Fit and whatever podcast. It just happens because I'm a guy, and that's what comes up on my For You page. Can't help but watch those things. And I just say to myself, man, I don't want to be in that crowd of just trying to, just bury the idea of any woman being out there. Because then I also see some really wholesome, young, beautiful women that are just, you could just tell if the opportunity presented itself and you could attract them, they're marriage material. See, that's the other thing too. So many times I can see women, and if I see a guy and gal together as a couple, get to talk to them a little bit, I can tell that they're just going to be destined for each other. Like there are women out there that you absolutely know. Unfortunately, they get picked up very young. Once they're out of college, whatever it is, or even teenagers as high school sweethearts. Some women that you would hope will be available that are marriage material, they get picked up quickly, extremely quickly. Most of the girls that are very desirable in terms of having a family and children with, you're going to have a hard time finding that on dating apps because the good ones are almost always taken. I know it is. And I also know that if I would have gone after girls like those and put the real effort in, I would not be single. I would have lucked out with one of them. I would have lucked out with a girl that I would have not taken as my type. And I think she probably would have worked with me to make me better. And the problem is that I had some girls that, really did fit that role. And I made mistakes with. Big time mistakes. And I wasn't ready. And yeah, look at me. Almost 30 years old at the time. And there were several girls that I missed out on. Completely missed the boat. And it was a damn shame. And I should have done better. But I didn't. Well, now I'm at the point where I didn't do anything about it. I kept pursuing what I wanted. And now I'm forever single. But remember, I'm at the point now where I don't feel sorry for myself. I don't feel bad for myself. I know that I put myself here. I know I created this situation. I'm old enough to realize that now. And I'm old enough to realize why the girls I was going after were not the right ones for me. It's the reason why this podcast is here. For the most part, I see what my audience is right now. Among the thousands of viewers that are on my feed catching this program on a regular basis. I look on the Spotify list. I look at the YouTube channel and I can see what I'm getting in terms of audience. I'm getting a significantly good sized female audience here. And it's a thing that I just got to think about. Like, man, I really don't want to disappoint this crowd. Like, I want to be able to be there for them and just realize, hey, I don't want you all to miss out on this. I want you to go ahead and say, you know what? We can work through all this together. And that, it's going to be something where people are going to realize we're going to find our way through. Look, among the audience I have right now, I can tell you that I look at the audience I have. It's basically 3-to-1 male to female. So roughly 67 to 75% depending on the platform is a male audience. And a pretty good sized audience as well. On YouTube is a little bit older than normal. More listeners listening in more at 25 to 54, right? On Spotify, a bit younger. And significantly, a lot more females that are underage that catch this program, which I'm very surprised by. But, they catch it. They listen in. They want to learn more. And I appreciate that. And I hope that some of you will learn some things out of all this. But Generation Z, the younger under 30s, I worry about you. I'm worried about the guys that are not learning to be real men and learning how to be gentlemen and suitors and proper dating and be able to go ahead and get with a girl and not feel the need to cheat and just be able to, realize and appreciate who you're getting. Let me tell you like this. For all the things that women get now in terms of the maintenance they have for themselves, what they can do to, enhance their beauty, right? What they wear, how they look. I honestly believe there's a lot more beautiful women than I remember seeing when I was growing up. It's a lot. And I'm saying to myself, these kids at their age, just don't fuck it up. You have a chance here. Don't screw it up. There's got to be some guys that realize, man, you don't want to go ahead and lose out on the chance to really get with somebody and just say to yourself, you know what? You can get it right the first time and stick around and make something out of a relationship with somebody that you're with. Because the truth is, you need to realize you don't want to go into what we were doing. Listen, 20 years ago, you can go through and say, hey, this girl doesn't work out. There's another girl there next over. It's not that easy anymore. Because now social media has really caved into the minds of young men and women out there to believe this false sense of delusion now. That they feel like, well, there are so many other people that are my type that I'm going to go after more than ever. And let's not talk about the pornography that's out there. If it's not pornography, it's also various other things that you see, whether it's cosplay or girls doing ASMR or, they're doing other things where they're thirst traps on, and sipping out guys on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. I see it. I see it all the time. And that is all, it's not real. It's figment of imagination. It's all imaginary. And that we're not taking enough time and getting away from dating apps to meet people in real life. And like I said, with a dating game, you're just going to have to take the chance. You're going to have to just go out there and just make a go at it. Screw all the narratives that you've been reading about all the time, the Me Too movement, all this other stuff. You just got to get past it. But more than anything, stand your ground. You know, you want to make sure that you invest your time, money, resources to the right woman, to someone that's going to appreciate you. You'll learn that in a few dates. That's more important than the sex. Way more important than the sex. Now, for those of you out there, yeah, you want to go ahead and screw around, but the problem is now is that it's not as easy as it was anymore to just have friends with benefits. Because now the benefits that women are asking for are way too high. It's not as easy to go ahead and afford having friends with benefits anymore. Okay. I know for a fact because listen, you know, I remember the times where when hotel rooms were not $100 a night and that you can try to find somebody that you meet and you can kind of hook up. The hookup culture is much more difficult now because you really got to have some money to go and do it unless you take somebody to your own place. I really never did that myself. I rather just go and meet them somewhere neutral and not bringing somebody back to my house right away. I wouldn't do that. I didn't feel right about it. It's those things. In my 20s, I was trying so hard to date. In my 30s, I transitioned more to friends with benefits, with the occasional woman that I felt like there was something more with, but it never came to be. So I was just thankful for moments. You've heard me talk about this before. In my 40s, it just started dying down. Just wasn't important anymore. Just got tired of doing first dates. Just do the first date. That's the other thing. Just do a first date. And if you have a woman that just really gives you a hard time about like what the first date has to be, is it more the experience than it is, you know, who you're talking to? Yeah. Those are the kind of things we have to worry about now. You know, what are you in it for? You got to ask yourself, what are you in this for when you're going to go out? What are you on the dating site for? What are you on the dating app for? What are you in this for? What do you really want to get out of this? Is it just a quick fuck? Okay. But is it something more? Do you really want something out of this? I would prefer to get into something where if I'm going to meet somebody for the first time, meet a woman for the first time, I want to see if it's a relationship first. That's my first goal. Of course, in the dating game, we don't say that because we don't want to go and make things too serious right away. We don't say anything like that. We don't want to make our feelings to a girl known so much to feel like they're going to go ahead and feel creeped out. We don't do that either. So you have to play this very sensitive, very safe. While guys can go ahead and think on logic, women are thinking on emotion. And you don't want to go ahead and push any buttons emotionally on her to scare her away. You want to let her come on in, let her get your trust, let her have comfort in you, feel comfortable around you, feel comfortable talking to you, and feeling comfortable telling you things that show that she's interested and she's opening up for herself. You have to let that come out organically and naturally. But you also want to realize that you're not doing this where it's just all materialistic. And it's like the experiences she's going to get out of this, where, remember, the girl can go and drop out at any time. And you just got to realize that that's going to happen too. You're taking the risk of like going on the first date, second, third, fourth, and she could ghost you. She could just leave. Because now it's like that these days. Plus, you have to also pay attention to those that are there with bad intentions. Love bombing. Really just putting you up on a pedestal, ladies. And when they do that, and then you start seeing the change in them, and you're already hooked up. You're already hooked in for them, and now you're going to struggle. And now you're going to like start questioning yourself and your own integrity because why are you doing with this guy? You put your time into it, and now you're going to start doubting yourself as well. Now, taking from a story from Fortune magazine of all places. So there's terms we know in Gen Z dating now. The younger dating scene, there's all talk about attachment style, love bombing, and breadcrumbing. Turning romance into a nuanced game of strategy and survival. Yeah, but it's much different than it was before. But now we have a new concept called orbiting. So social media dating apps have not only buoyed long existing dating trends like ghosting, but they've also created unique circumstances for love seekers to contend with. So now, orbiting is a phenomenon where a past lover, ex-fling, or even romantic interest remains connected with you on the internet, but has stopped directly engaging. I have a few women that are doing that to me right now, orbiting. I know one in particular And if I'm right, I think she wrote me on Snapchat today. I have not written back to her. I think she wrote me there, or if it was on TikTok, I forget. But I never wrote back. I'm not sure what it was, why I didn't do that, but, something to be said about, yeah. Oh, yeah, she did. And so she responded today, and I have to reach back out to her. It was somebody that was really interested anyway, and I did date her a couple times, but her career was changing at the time I met her. She was trying to figure out what she was going to do with herself after doing something for a career where she was modeling. And then she moved on to something else, wanted to go and work into psychology. And you know what? I wasn't going to hold her back from pursuing her dreams. But I also was very afraid to go ahead and really tell her that I really liked her. And I mean, she already knew I thought she's beautiful. I mean, I made it clear that I really did like her and I thought the world of her. But I wasn't, and that's the only thing I was going to do. I would never get in the way of a woman and their success and their career. Because I didn't make myself feel like I'm going to hold on to her and feel like I need to be responsible for her by doing that. I didn't feel like doing that either. Very nervous because I wasn't even into any relationships before. If I would have had just an actual girlfriend that I would have made some mistakes with and learned from, that'd be a different story, but I never even got to that. I never got to be attached. So again, I've said it. I have never known what it's like to be in love, and it sucks. Oh, well. And this definition comes from Benjamin Cameras, who's the flirt coach on TikTok. He has 260,000 some odd followers. He says, quote, one or both of you are observing one another, so you're watching each other's stories, you're looking at posts, but you're not really leaving that digital footprint other than the views that can be registered. You're not exactly liking, you're not exactly commenting or sliding into the DMs, you're just sort of there. Now, I will also say, I absolutely do this too. There are a handful of girls right now that I still follow along and I see. And you know what makes it very tempting to do that? Facebook. Because when you go on a Facebook page and see you save the girl's phone number, and you might not call it back, but because that information's on the phone there, or TikTok or Instagram for that matter, they will make suggestions on people you may know. And what happens? I will see women that I was talking to that for whatever reason stop talking with, and they will still pop up. And the temptation is made for me to go ahead and go follow some of these girls out there. And that's what happens. He goes on to say that if you've connected with a lover on social media, chances you've experienced orbiting. While the experience is common and not inherently negative, he's noticed that it causes anxiety in many younger people trying to read the tea leaves. And at least one dating app Hinge is capitalizing on the trend, trying to understand why online dating for Gen Z can be so fraught. Now remember, for some of us, we still can go ahead and make phone calls on landlines. Like, you're already putting the pressure on yourself if you want to go ahead and FaceTime. And that, I don't even do video calls. Not like I couldn't do it, but it's just not the thing I want to do. Because I know what, my advantage? I'm, accentuating the positives, hiding the negatives. I might not be the most handsome guy in the world. I mean, I think I look okay. I think with losing all the weight I've lost, I think that helps. But, I don't put myself out there like, oh, I'm like, young and, so good looking that I think I'm going to just be, dripping with girls off my body. No, but I think I'm more above average. Above average. Just above. I do have women that will call me handsome, and I just don't believe them. I do have that happen quite a bit. For a typical Gen Z dater who has grown up immersed in digital communication, social media norms have shaped their perceptions, and younger individuals may interpret a delay in texting as a lack of interest and might even intentionally withhold responses to appear aloof or mysterious. And that's the part of the dating game that I used to do as well, where you might text somebody, you might call somebody, you're supposed to wait a little bit. Then we learned that from Fast Times at Ridgemont High or Clueless or whatever. You kind of learn you don't want to look like you're so hung up on the girl that you want to act desperate. We're trying not to do that either. We're trying to hold back our temptation, hold back our feelings. Very difficult, ladies, for us sometimes. I know it was for me. And one of the biggest questions that Cameras gets as a younger relationship coach, someone goes on a great first date, and then leading up to the second date, they notice distancing. They're pulling away a little bit, but they're still watching your stories, so they send you, so you send them a DM and they don't respond. They're still active online. You can see their Snapchat score go up. At the end of the day, however, these signals don't add up to productive information. See, when I get this happening to me, I got to the point where I had to understand that at any time the girl could go ahead and lose interest. Maybe it's somebody else, maybe just not interested anymore. But the girl's not going to express for me why she doesn't want to be with anymore or why she wasn't interested anymore. It took me, about 15 years ago to start realizing I shouldn't bother asking that question. I shouldn't ask myself that question. I shouldn't ponder that in my head. I haven't spent enough time with this girl to warrant a reason. So I just need to let it go. Just need to forget about it. Not even question it. And texting on purpose, I used to be really engaging on texting, and I would go ahead and respond all the time. And of course, we go in those conversations where we go back and forth for a while. But you know what? After a while, we just stop. We have to show that we have a life. And so there are some girls that I talk to, like, they used to get really upset that I wouldn't talk to them anymore. But let me tell you, how many times have I had girls that I've started talking to on text, and they just stop? Like, we'll have a nice little run of texts, for like the whole day, and nothing after that, unless I initiate the contact. And for the most part, I don't do that. I'm not even going to try because I feel like I'm just wasting my time. Because I realize, okay, to ask me about myself, I don't answer those questions. I like more analytical questions and things like that. And I try to do things where I talk to a girl just to hopefully make sure I leave some kind of a footprint on them that says, hey, man, I'm interested. I give them something to make them feel like they'll remember me if I reach back out to them. But why am I going to do that either? So they also talked to Sabrina Zohar, a virtual online relationship coach, almost 1 million followers on TikTok, that social media features have led many young people to delude themselves with signals that aren't meaningful. Tracking someone's activity stimulates a dopamine drop and cortisol high, causing young people to become obsessed with creating narratives that aren't really rooted in reality. It's not just Gen Z. Trust me. With all these women I meet online, and they might be women that are in other parts of the country or wherever else they might be, right? Some of the women from other parts of the world. I have an idea or a narrative that I have of myself of, what the girl looks like, how she's going to look when I meet her in person, and all these kind of things. And I feel like I can't really put that down for anyone that I meet in real life anymore. Like, remember, COVID changed everything for me because of the fact that I've been working from home. The contact I have with women at any point of all it's not even exercising, because I walk, I play basketball, usually at a basketball court in the middle of the day when nobody else is around. I don't go to gyms. I don't necessarily go a lot of places where you're socializing. If I'm going to a supermarket or a drugstore or a Costco or whatever, I got headphones on. I'm just going on doing my thing. I mean, a girl's going to literally have to go ahead and flag me down to stop. And that happens sometimes, and I will stop and I'll take the headphones off and we'll talk. That's fine too. But I'm really not trying to go and go that route. I'm really not. But, I mean, movie theater, I'm not trying to hit on anybody. And I'm trying to think about it as well. At church, I'm not trying to hit on anybody. And I'm trying to think of anything else. Uber? No, because I'm working. Professional. And trust me, the thought might come to mind sometimes if I see a girl, whatever. But you know what? I rarely will say anything that's going to will even be constituting any kind of flirtation. Just not going to do it. I mean, I will say that, when the conversations come up, I might come off like a bartender because I might start giving some sage advice for some of the people I've talked to. And I've done that with some of the people I've had, and I've gotten some good tips as a result. And I thought I've given some pretty good advice. And I told people about this program when I've actually been on the car as well, that they'll find out about it. But one of the things I also have too is that it's the young women that I meet now these days that, when you're caught in the trends, and one of the trends I still haven't got myself into at all. And look, I'm old fashioned. I don't understand it, but it's just the way it is. I'm not here to go ahead and beat everybody down, but in this program every once in a while, I've talked about men and women that get tattoos and get ink and make regular visits to the tattoo parlor. And I will say this. I'm not necessarily attracted to a woman that has a lot of ink on her. She's got, on her legs, her thighs, her arms, her chest, her neck. No. I lose all interest. On the eyebrow, whatever it is, all that, just, it phases me out. I lose interest immediately. So, honestly, the tattoos have made it easier for me to go ahead and not try to go and pursue anybody because I'll look. But I will tell you that some of those women that I would think that maybe 20 years ago, they wouldn't have had all those tattoos on because it wouldn't have been a thing. But for some reason, it's very much acceptable now. And I wonder if some people really have that as a taboo, that maybe things, when you see someone that has so much ink on them, that maybe you feel like, well, you really are not going to go and go so far forward about someone that feels like, they're a quality person, that they really find the worth in themselves. A woman finds beauty and youth and she appreciates it because she wants to go and start changing herself, altering her image because of the way she looks. For whatever reason, some of the most very beautiful women that are out there, like models and things like that. I mean, how many times do you see them with a significant amount of tattoos? You don't. And by the way, a lot of the women that you see out there that don't have tattoos, they're all taken. Many of them. Now, it's an acceptable thing for everybody out there. So I'm not here to go ahead and start browbeating or putting anybody down that does it. I just don't get it. But it has also been one of those things in the last 10, 15 years that has made it much harder for me to even consider asking a girl out because I'll see that. And it will be something it just irks. It doesn't feel right. And so, because it's something I would never do. Like, I'm not interested in any of that stuff. And that's okay. It's different strokes for different folks. That's okay. And so like we talked about as well, there's been a lot of talk about how there might be some ideas of what to do to kind of change things up when it comes to dating apps and trying to use that. But remember, dating apps have gotten worse because the people you're going to meet on there are so tarnished, so damaged. They're chronic daters. And to find someone that feels like you're going to feel comfortable with them. I mean, hell, I even look at Facebook sometimes. When I used to get on the Tinder or Match or whatever there was out there, I mean, how many women did I ever meet that I was really like, man, I really hope she talks to me? That doesn't happen much anymore. The last few times I've been on, man, that's very difficult. Very difficult. Like I said, I find more quality women if I were to try to date on a sugar daddy site than I do anywhere else. It's just the fact. So the pivot toward appealing to younger generations is necessary for dating apps, but also a sign that social media applications are beginning to understand the psychological effects they've had on young adults. People have always been obsessive, but now the tools to keep someone in a cycle of limerence are abundant. Quote, you get excited when you post that story. You can't wait to see if your crush sees it. And then they don't reach out, and you're back on that loop again of what else can I do to get this person's attention? You're trying to control other people, but what we need to start doing is bringing it in internally. If it doesn't feel good, then that person is orbiting you. Set some boundaries. And for me, it's like, when I think about this program, I don't think at all about, maybe there were years ago that maybe I would think about what a girl would think of me if I was doing this podcast and they would find favor in me. They would carry favor. It doesn't matter anymore. It just doesn't. As a single guy, a chronically single guy, I've done all the things I should have done a long time ago to make myself better. I've got myself worked out in better shape. I've tried to work on myself to really understand why I do some of the things I do. This program, the Depraved and the Prosperous program, no matter how funny the title of this show is, this has been a learning experience for me. Right now, I've already passed a year doing this program in this form. I think it was May 15th last year I started it. Or 2021, excuse me. And in the thought process of this, I'd say to myself, I've learned a lot about myself, and it's been very cathartic to talk about some of the stories that I've had of some of the women I've actually worked out and tried to go ahead and make something of that didn't work out. The friend zoning, all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm such an expert in this. Like, through what I've gone through, I'm not surprised I'm where I'm at. Because I know that I wasn't going to settle for anything less. I wasn't going to allow myself to settle. But there are plenty of people that will still compromise or settle for a lot of reasons. I just never did that. If I'm going to do this right, I'm going to get it right the first time. I'm not afraid to say this either. Like, it's been at least 6 years since I've had actual sex. Intercourse. Intimacy, a little bit here and there. But intercourse? No, it's been 6 years. It's like, not even trying to be abstinent, it's just it hasn't been. That's one of those things where, I wish that would be a little bit different. Like I said, I wouldn't want any of this. I wouldn't want guys and gals that are younger than me in their 30s or 20s and 30s. I wouldn't want you to go through all this. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm like, I used to feel like, well, I want one of those pretty girls to be with me. No, I want all these beautiful women that are there out here. I want them to be treated well. I want them to be loved. I don't want them to be hurt or traumatized or violated or vandalized and all that kind of stuff. I don't want them to be going through feeling, some horrible thoughts, depression, anxiety, and going through all this. Fear of missing out. I don't want them to go through all that. I want them to appreciate their natural beauty. They're who they are from the beginning. If they're a people pleaser, if they, love that hard. I don't want them to get hurt. And it's not because I'm trying to hold them for myself. I'm not being selfish. I just want them for the good of the world. Because things would be better if people just knew how to love each other. Like, be in love. Not from family, not from friends, but like love of another loved one, significant other, someone that you're attracted to, someone that you want to, spend a life with, you have a bond with. I want to see more of that. Maybe at some point we'll see that. Now, some other stories I could bring up here, but I think I'm going to stop right now because I do need to put some more bonus episodes up on the program, so we'll go and wait on that. 3 things women really want you to do on a date and they're not hard. And there's another story about intimacy in psychology, that women experiencing more affectionate touch are more satisfied with their bodies and relationships. I think I'm going to leave those stories. I'm going to table those aside, and we'll put that aside for a bonus episode coming up as part of the supporters club, because I need to put something up for the month of June. And once again, if you'd like to go and help out, look for the supporters club section at kingofpodcasts.com. You'll see the Depraved and Debaucherous episodes. Just click through one of those, and you'll go right to the supporters club page. It's a supporters club page, and then you can go ahead and donate $2 a month. Again, not even a cup of coffee. And, even if you don't want to go and listen to the episodes, you just want to go and give a donation, this is a great way to help out the program. If you really like what I do for this content, I hope you'll consider this, okay? And seriously, as so much there is for the love that I want more men and women to have out there, I also want them to feel like they can go ahead and, feel like they can appreciate, being with somebody. And just part of it is, if you get to know somebody and you're going to be attached to them and get close to them, well, you want to be able to get close enough to where you want the sex to feel like something. You don't want it to be just significant. You don't want it just to be, just plain Jane. You feel nothing but it's the orgasm. Because there's something else to be said about being able to go ahead and feel a love, an attraction, and a oneness, a bond. Something where you really feel something even more that comes out of this. So you can enjoy the companionship. You can enjoy the love and the admiration. And in the meantime, you can be a little depraved and debaucherous.